we've had a few days to reflect on Leinster. That would have been put to bed on Monday, but what was said in the immediate aftermath?
Yeah, I think that's the important thing. Just move on. We reviewed it as we would do. Obviously, we've ticked off what we needed to learn from it. I don't need to describe all of that now. There's various things we needed to learn from it. There's good conversations you have after you lose a game of rugby and after you lose an important one. Those conversations have been had, and the key thing now is all the chat we've been having today and all the focus we're moving now is how quickly we can move on. The reality is you've got a choice every time you lose a game of rugby like that, and you've got a choice that you can spend loads of time getting emotionally worried about it and not really knowing how you should feel about it and almost creating a false scenario around yourself, or you can deal with it pretty honestly, get on with it and decide to move on and simmer away and use it as a real driver to take you to the next step, and that's what we've got to decide to do.
And moving on is Wasps this weekend, a formidable opponent at any time, and we've seen that in recent games, particularly the final last year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the final was a very tough game, in which we came through. Obviously, we've been away to Wasps early in the season. It was a little bit of a false scenario because obviously we had quite a few players out, but at the same time we had a number of first team players playing, and in the end we were well beaten. So we've got a few points to prove, and first and foremost, the biggest point we've got to prove is we want to be in the top four. Hopefully the top two come the end of the season. And you look at everyone else's fixtures around, and if we've got to collect points, you know, the table's tight, and if we want to keep things in our own hands, we have to go out there and fight for them.
Almost like last week, it is now 7 rounds of knockout rugby, really, isn't it? You just got to go for it.
That's it. I mean, it's not quite knockout yet for us because obviously we're second in the table, but you know, we do know there's 7 weeks of the regular season left. We know when the breaks are, and we know what we've got to do if we want to make the season go longer. Those things are all in our hands, and we've got to decide how much we want to fight for them.
Jack Noel, you've talked about in recent weeks, chomping at the bit. He's literally there or thereabouts now. Will we likely see him at the weekend? Yeah,
well, he's been in full training for a couple of weeks now. We've held him back a little bit just to make sure we got plenty of load into him, and everything is ticking along well. He's at the level he was now when he's been fully fit in past seasons. So we've now declared him fit and ready to play.
And a fully fit Jack Noel offers you so much.
Yeah, I think the important thing is, like anything else, we've got to keep the pressure off him a little bit and just give him a little bit of a chance to show some form. Hence why we held him back in training a little bit, but he's looked very sharp in training. Everything is, like I say, has looked very positive. And now's the time of year when he can make a real impact.
Rob, you did homework on Wasps. What would you have seen from them in recent weeks? I know they've not played for 2 weeks now, but that Claremont performance in particular showed you that there are genuine threats there.
Oh yeah, I mean they've got a bit of confidence back about them. I think a couple of their international players are very influential for them, and I think that's helped them get back on track a little bit. But that said, you know, we've got a very good record here against Wasps. We've got to expect to put in a level of performance that really challenges them. We've got to really decide now to focus on ourselves. You know, we've probably spent a lot of time in the last number of weeks looking at the opposition and seeing how we wanted to play and adjusting our game plan to them. And we've probably got to rezone for a few weeks only on ourselves again, and the things that we want to do and we want to show of ourselves, because there's no doubt when we were at our best doing what we did against Leinster, we were very good, and actually we got distracted off that a little too easily, and we just got to rezone ourselves and realign ourselves and get back onto being the genuine Exeter Chiefs article.
You talk about sometimes putting pressure on your guys. There is a pressure now between now and the end of the season. They normally tend to step up, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's interesting for us. Every team will say this. They go through periods in a season with ebbs and flows of what pressure is and what expectation is, and how you decide to deal with it. And that's what you've got to do. As you said, we've got to take it with two hands and deal with whatever pressure or expectation or whatever it is, but align that with the hunger to win things for ourselves. And if you can get that all done correctly, you can become very, very powerful, and that's going to be our fight over the next few weeks.